Right, actually forgot to bring my MacBook. I'm going to pretend. Okay. So, if you write on the Mac, when you've remembered it, well, you've got a word processor or maybe a text editor, and fine lines between those two. And you may, of course, also have tiny little extra apps, utility apps that make one thing or some things easier. In between the word processor and the tiny utilities, there are big utilities, apps that are exceptionally useful extras, and I want to enthuse at you about, well, basically the whole idea of having them. Really, but I'll tell you, let's see if I can be useful and focus on 4 examples. These are 4 apps that I use constantly in my writing and in my writing business. Now, oh, you're a writer, you know this. You know about building up suspense. You've seen enough YouTube videos about number 6. Well, there's only 4 of them. Yeah, you know. I'll just tell you. The 4 I want to talk about are Hookmark, Omni Outliner, Text Expander, and CleanShot X. I did check, it is X, not 10. If you already know and use all of them, I've got nothing for you at all. But if you don't, and you aren't or you haven't, I think this could even actually be a treat. Hello, I'm William Gallagher, and this is 58 Keys, which as ever, as always, is for writers. Writers like you and me who use and who write on Macs when we remember to bring them, iPhones and iPads, but particularly today the Mac. Yeah. Do please like, subscribe, or patronise me. It is a big help. And actually, as a help, all of these apps are a great help. That's the point here. Let me just show you. The first one, Hookmark. Because with Hookmark, there's no question it'll be useful for you, whatever you do on your Mac, whatever writing you do. It's increasingly useful for me. And here's one example. Okay, pretty much every weekday this year, as it happens, I've made a 10 or 20 second. I've written a short video with tips for writers on Macs and iPhones and iPads. And that always starts here in OmniFocus, my task manager, with the task about uploading the next one and the implication I've got to make it before I upload. If I select that task and press Control H, and get this list. That is everything I need to do that job, including the script. Everything starts with the script. We're writers. So I open that, and there's everything so far. I can start writing the next one, researching the next one, whatever I need to do. But as handy as that is, you see how handy it is to go straight to that. There's more. Here I am in the script, but I want to open the folder where I keep those videos when I'm making them. You saw that folder actually listed back in OmniFocus, you know, that original pop-down list. But rather than switching to OmniFocus or going hunting through the Mac and the Finder for it, I stay in the script, I press Control H again, and there's that same list, and I go straight to that folder. And this is important. If I happen to have selected a different task in OmniFocus, or I open a different document, a different folder, then pressing Control H does not give me this list. It is specific. The first time I need something on a certain job, I go to it and I add it to this collection. I hook it together, and then forever afterwards, it's right there where I need it and not where I don't. You're gathering together all the parts of a job, okay, and then you can jump in between them. Any of it, all of it, immediately. You see that, you get that. I didn't have to think about where the script happens to be on my Mac. I just see the task, press the button, start writing the script, and then I move to whatever I need. Now it's obviously fast, yeah, you see it, and it's clearly convenient. But I offered that there's more to it than that, because not having to think about where something is means not having to stop to think about it. I need the script, I'm in the script. I need the folder, I'm in the folder. Yeah, just constantly working on the job. Before I complete the thought, I'm doing what I need to do. And this means I stay in the moment. I stay writing, really. This utility app does so much. It's called Hookmark. I could not recommend it more if I tried, and I have regularly tried. Hookmark comes in $30 and $70 versions, and yeah, you want the $70 one plus. It has a 30-day free trial, so you can see I'm not kidding about this. And it's also available in Setup, the bundle that gets you 200 odd Mac apps with a monthly subscription that starts at $10. Now, Omni Outliner, let me stay in that script for the shorts, the ones I Control H'd into. I could write that script in anything, of course, but for about every one, I think of the more than 500 58 Keys videos there have been, I think all of them have been written in this Omni Outliner. Short version, I don't happen to like outlines really, but lately I've had to write some book things going on, book projects. I've done some in Scrivener, which I think is pretty good. Apple Pages, who's outlining, as much as I do like Pages, outlining in Pages, it's practically non-existent. And I've had to do one in Microsoft Word. Yeah, I might even pull out of it. That's special torture. Omni Outliner is more powerful than all of these, but a thing I particularly like about it is that it doesn't get in your way. I mean, actually, okay, I think you're looking at me and I'm wondering, Microsoft Word, maybe its outline is more powerful than anything on the planet, but good luck finding even all of its kludgy options. With Omni Outliner, the features are there, yet you find them when you want them. You don't have to study the manual or peer through that ribbon, try to find what in the world this is about. None of which I think explains why I write 58 keys in it, but this might. Every 58 keys starts as an idea. Well, actually, it starts with a shortcut that creates the base empty scripts, like uses it, copies the template, plus all of the folders that I want for each video. And then there's the issue of just writing out what do I know about the topic that I want to cover? What am I sure that I don't know? Where can I go to find out? The rest is like this dump of information into that Omni Outliner document. And once I get to a certain stage, there's then massaging that information into a structure. I mean, again, writers, you know about structure and rhythm and pacing. I obviously write the script for 58 keys so that it begins at a good point, I think, and then takes you somewhere else. I mean, you can well argue over whether I do it right or not, but okay, that's the aim, and I try it partly by rearranging the information in Omni Outliner, what sits there, what's missing, what's needed. And then, well, I'm already in there, might as well write the script. And this is key to why Omni Outliner is something I use most days, I can also do exactly this structuring, this massaging, when I'm thinking of an event that I need to produce. I was once asked, I was in the middle of something and a company asked, a company I worked with before, asked me, could I do, if necessary, could I do a day's workshop on a particular topic? And I said, yeah, fine, yes, and carried on with the work. And they came right back with, okay then, what would the day consist of? Okay. I wrote down, dumped everything I could think of into Omni Outliner. Well, it's got to cover this, it's got to cover that. Looking at that, it's in front of you, you can see, well, it needs more of this, it probably doesn't need that. And well, X should definitely come before Y, so to speak. And because I had been given the timings of the day, the start, the end, and the lunchtime, knowing where lunch was, I knew you don't do something heavy right after lunch. So it actually blocked out the day pretty quickly. I ran the entire day and I replied to them within 30 minutes, with every entry on the list also fleshed out with a sentence or two of description, because Omni Outliner helped me organize. I mean, I knew the topic, that's pretty important, but it organized the ideas there. Omni Outliner comes in two versions at a cost of either $25 or $100, depending on which version you go for. But now, actually, quite recently this has come in, that price gets you Omni Outliner on the Mac, the iPad, and the iPhone, and Apple Vision Pro. Next, text expander, and I just used it right now, just there. Instead of writing out in the script Apple Vision Pro, I typed the letter X followed by AVP, and it was changed to Apple Vision Pro. I've got a client where I write that device's name quite often. Anyway, I said I don't like outlining, but I do like typing. In fact, actually, I like typing a lot, in every sense of that, a lot. Except, I'd rather be typing something new. And I know you're the same, but I know at least at times, you have to type out the same thing quite often, or very similar, Apple Vision Pro, or slightly more involved. Well, actually, since you can have that automatic texting on the Mac anyway, for very short lines like Apple Vision Pro, there's more to text expander. Let me show you that. This blank page, that's going to be an email to a writer whose piece, I think I've decided I've accepted it in Spark Young Writers magazine. I'm making this up now because I don't edit that issue anymore, but I must have done 10 of them or so. And one particular thing about that contract, that gig, was that as editor, I was also required to write to each writer who submitted, explaining why they got in or why they didn't. Okay. And obviously it's different every time, and there's some detail at the top, the email that I've got to type out myself as well, but Actually, most of the email is me, but there are these key phrases, these key paragraphs that are the same or very similar. With Text Expander installed, then in any Mac application, I type the letter X, followed immediately by the word yes, so XS, as if that's one word. That XS is then deleted, and I get this form. Type the name of the story, hit return, there's my opening paragraph, done. So it's not just expanding an abbreviation, a trigger out into the same word or some sentence or some paragraph or whatever. It's expanding that out and including whatever the new bit is. I said that was a form. What you just saw then was form filling, wasn't it? But you can also have Text Expander offer you a drop-down list of choices. Or you can have it just enter the new stuff all by itself. I mean, not a lot of times you want to do that, but the date, for example, tell it you want the date somewhere and it will go get today's date and it will pop it into your text if you wanted to. You see that it saves time, but it can also mean that I am consistent. I can't really show you, this is various financial things I use this for, where all right, I'll type in the amount of an invoice, but everything else, from the date being entered automatically to a drop-down list of my usual regular clients, that's all done with Text Expander, and I fill in the tiny remaining details, and then the invoice is sent, the invoice is logged. There are alternatives to Text Expander, but I do keep coming back to it. I like it a lot. Text Expander is a subscription app. It costs from $3.33 per month. Now, whether you like the look of Text Expander or Omni Outliner and Hookmark or not, well, you get it. You see what they do. You see whether it would be useful for you. I do really think that you need to actually use them. Get the trial versions and try them out to really feel their worth, their value. But of course, you grasp the concept behind all of them. You'll also understand this one, CleanShot X. But I think unless you already use it, I suspect you're likely to need much more convincing, because what CleanShot X does is take screenshots of your Mac, and the Mac already takes screenshots. In fact, actually, the way the Mac lets you take screenshots, screen recordings, it's excellent. But CleanShot X, it's better. Here's one reason. That's just the reason they got me to try it out in the first time. CleanShot X does scrolling capture. So if you want to screen grab something that goes off the bottom of the screen, like a long website page, for example, well, you can just do it. And you can do it particularly easily with CleanShot X. There are actually ways to do some of it. Grab a whole page on the Mac as well, but it's depending on what you're doing, what you're trying to take a shot of. With CleanShot X, does it with everything. And actually, I only just... can't show you why this became relevant, because it was silly, but it'll even do scrolling capture sideways. There's also a lot of things to do. The really nice things with how, when you take the shot, it hides everything else on the desktop. Makes your Mac look a bit neater. But the short version is that I was a cynic. I was a cynic in a sea of enthusiasts for it, and then I tried it and I swam over to the other side. Give CleanShot X a shot. There's not a lot to say about it, and yet there's so much that it does. CleanShot X costs $29. It's not every... actually, it might be pretty close to every day that I use it for one thing or another. For example, I've just shown you still images, screenshot images, but I also record video with it. In fact, every single time in every 58 Keys episode, if you see a recording of a Mac screen, that has been done through CleanShot X. Yeah, I could go on, but I think that's enough for now, isn't it? That's CleanShot X, Omni Outliner, Text Expander, and Hookmark. There are more, and maybe we should talk about some of these extra apps. I'm thinking immediately of Hazel. I'm thinking of default folder X. What is it with X instead of 10? And there must be more. They're these things that they're so useful, but they become so much a part of your normal work that you don't think about them. I'll think about them. If I can find another two, say that either I or you can think of, we'll do this again with those and put off writing for a little bit. But otherwise, in the meantime, that's it for this 58 Keys episode. Thank you very much for watching. Now take care of yourself, hey? Write more. Okay, yeah, you and me both, I know. Write more. And I'll see you soon.